This is 5-minute English lesson with Burslem Jubilee, and today we are going to talk about health workers. We are going to learn 10 words for health workers and use them with the articles a or an. Why do we need to do that? Sometimes you will need to call and make an appointment with the correct health worker, and sometimes you will need to listen to your doctor and understand who he is going to refer you to. You will also need to understand advice from NHS services, or you will need to read and understand letters or emails from your doctor. You may need to use the words for health workers when you talk to your friends or colleagues, and you may want to look for a job in healthcare. You may want to become one of the health workers. And sometimes you will need to send a message or an email to explain why you can't go to work or why you can't come to your English class. Before we start learning the words, we need to revise the English alphabet. I think you know the alphabet, and I think you will remember that there are 26 letters in the English alphabet. Most of the letters are consonants. And if you are going to use a word starting with these letters, you will need to use a in front of the words. There are 5 vowels: A, E, I, O, and U. The letter Y can sometimes make consonant sounds, and it can sometimes make vowel sounds, but we are not going to use it in this lesson. If you are going to use words starting with a vowel, you will need to use an before the word. To help you remember these vowels, they will appear at the side of the screen like this. Let's look at the first picture. This health worker cares for people who are ill. Nurse. Shall we say a nurse or an nurse? Look at the first letter and check if it is a vowel. The first letter is N. It is not a vowel, so we are going to say a nurse. For example, my friend is a nurse. There is one more important thing for you to remember. A and an means one. So we can only use these words if we are talking about one person or one thing. If we are going to talk about 2 nurses, we will say nurses, not a nurses. This nurse visits people in their homes and advises how to look after babies or people with disabilities. Health visitor. Do we say a health visitor or an health visitor? Look at the first letter and check if it is a vowel. The first letter is H. It's not a vowel, so we are going to say a health visitor. For example, I want to become a health visitor. This nurse advises pregnant women and delivers babies. Midwife. Do we say a midwife or an midwife? Look at the first letter and check if it is a vowel. The first letter is M. It is not a vowel, so we are going to say a midwife. For example, I have an appointment with a midwife. This health worker treats pregnant women and women giving birth. Obstetrician. Do we say a obstetrician or an obstetrician? Look at the first letter and check if it is a vowel. The first letter is O. It is a vowel, so we are going to say an obstetrician. For example, my friend is an obstetrician. An obstetrician is not a nurse. An obstetrician has a degree in medicine and treats people who are ill. Doctor. Do we say a doctor or an doctor? Check the first letter and check if it's a vowel. The first letter is D. It's not a vowel, so we are going to say a doctor. For example, I need to see a doctor. There are many different doctors. In the United Kingdom, you will often hear the word GP. GP means general practitioner. So do we say a GP or an GP? Look at the first letter and check if it is a vowel. The first letter is G. It is not a vowel, so we are going to say a GP. For example, I would like to make an appointment with a GP. This doctor checks and treats people's teeth. Dentist. Do we say a dentist or an dentist? Look at the first letter and check if it is a vowel. The first letter is D. It is not a vowel, so we are going to say a dentist. For example, my friend is a dentist. This doctor tests eyesight and fits glasses and contact lenses. Optician. Do we say a optician or an optician? Look at the first letter and check if it is a vowel. The first letter is O. It is a vowel, so we are going to say an optician. For example, I need to see an optician. This doctor treats hearing disorders. Audiologist. Do we say an audiologist or a audiologist? Look at the first letter and check if it is a vowel. The first letter is A, so we are going to say an audiologist. For example, I want to become an audiologist. This doctor treats allergies, asthma, and other immune disorders. Immunologist. Do we say a immunologist or an immunologist? Look at the first letter and check if it is a vowel. The first letter is I, so we are going to say an immunologist. For example, I need to see an immunologist. And this doctor treats bacteria, viruses, or parasites. Infectologist. Do we say a infectologist or an infectologist? Look at the first letter and check if it is a vowel. The first letter is I. It is a vowel, so we are going to say an infectologist. For example, my friend is an infectologist. Remember, there are many different situations when you may need to talk about health workers, but the rule about using a and an in front of the words applies to every topic. I hope you liked this lesson, and thank you for watching.